Once again, it's yours truly, Ricovibes, right here live on the Flavor Radio. We've got New Music Tuesdays, but I got a special guest on the line. He's not a musical guest. He's not an artist or anything like that, but he's a very influential guy in the music business. Welcome, Chin.
Welcome, my brother.
What's going on, man?
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. You know, you've been broadcasting here on the Flavor Radio for almost a year, probably more than a year now. And
yeah, man, I have to give thanks to everybody that listens to Flavor and definitely keeps the Sound Chat radio program energetic and full of vibes. We do get a whole lot of calls from people from Canada. I get swamped with emails and WhatsApp, and I know that it's because they're listening, on your station. So again, I have to give you thanks and give the supporters thanks as well.
Appreciate it, and give Ja Prince thanks exactly for bringing it here as well.
Yeah, man, big up to Ja Prince.
Yes. Now let's go back a little bit. What made you get into the radio business? Because when I knew you, I've known you for years, and obviously you are the Chin from Iris and Chin, the Clash promoters. But what made you make that transition?
It's about reinventing, and I think that in the business that we are in, where the pace moves so fast, every couple of years you have to sit back and think about what's going to be the next move, because our positions don't last forever.
Right.
And I try not to get comfortable in one position. So where it is that some people may say that Irish and Chin are the kings of the Clash world.
Right.
To us, we have far to go for that title. I don't accept titles. And the reason why I don't accept titles is because titles make you comfortable, and I never want to be comfortable. So we've been doing the Clash thing for a while. I started to see where the industry was starting to settle down. Mm-hmm. And those who are real hardcore Clash fans know that clashing is an industry that never should settle down. It should always have that spontaneity and that hype and that energy flowing.
Right.
So when I started to see that the energy was going down, I thought of dedicating a program to sound systems and sound system culture that will kind of bring back everyone on one platform to discuss the things that are hindering the growth of the industry. Mm-hmm. And that was the initial reason to go on radio 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. However, after being on radio for a while, I realized that the platform can be used for much greater things, mm-hmm. not only for the sound system fans, but for regular dance hall fans. I could use the platform to pull them into the Sound Clash arena. Many people who are dancehall fans, they love the music, but they've never been to a Sound Clash.
Right.
Many people who thought of going to a Sound Clash was told by a friend or a family member that, I pay a bad word and violence
right.
go on them thing there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we use the Sound Chat radio program to educate, entertain, and also inform. And, we bring the Sound Clash people close to the social issues, and we bring the people who love the social issues closer to the Clash, the Clash format and the Clash arena. Mm-hmm. And it's been working. I see where the numbers are going up in my events.
Right.
I see where the age group is now ranging from maybe 25 to 65, which is a great thing, Wow. And I am one that believes 100% in order for the Clash industry to grow, we have to make changes. And also we have to attract new patronage. So whether it's older people who never wanted to go, we have to make that adjustment to grab their interest. Or younger people who don't want to come to clashes because it doesn't relate to their, the music that they're listening to and their lifestyle. We have to adopt and make changes in order to get those younger people to feel like they can enjoy a musical experience at a sound clash as well. Wow. So that's the premises of the Sound Chat radio program, to bring everybody on one level and to erase the fear of what people think a sound clash is.
Wow. Now, a few years ago, I don't know if you got it up there in New York or around the world, but here in Atlanta, everybody was saying, no, Sound Clash is dead. Sound Clash is this, Sound Clash is that. What's your feeling about that, judging from a few years ago versus now?
I don't think that Sound Clash has ever been dead. I think that Sound Clash is going through the same phase that our reggae music is going through, where the people who own it don't find the value in it. They're no longer seeing the value, such as reggae and dancehall. You know, if you look at the reggae culture, you see all over the world. There's a large amount of white bands, reggae bands, excellent reggae bands coming up, and they're doing the music like it's coming from Jamaica, but it's not coming from Jamaica. And the reason why they're doing this is because they have the love, they have the passion for the culture, and maybe their favorite artist or the artist that they looked up to is no longer doing it. So they decided to pick it up and make a career out of it themselves. You know, it's the same thing that the Clash industry is going through right now. I recently did an article for Billboard magazine, right, about sound clashing. The Marleys just did a sound clash on their crew, their Jamrock crew. Red Bull does a culture clash every year. So there are still corporate entities coming into sound clash culture. So how can we sit there and say sound clash is dead?
But you do know that people were saying that for a while.
Yeah, they were saying it. Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying that you were saying it. When I say that, I'm speaking to those who have been saying that. It's not dead. What it is that our people who used to be Sound Clash fans are now interested in other things, and they're forgetting about, you know, the entertainment value in the sound system culture. The sound system culture is losing its place, not only with sound system fans, but it's losing its place in the industry, because the industry is moving so fast. And a lot of the valuable things are being left behind. Our valuable artists, our iconic artists, are passed on the street like they paid no contributions to the culture. Some of our legendary sound systems and legendary sound system operators and owners, you know, you can't tell a young person that these guys are heroes because they lived at a different time. Than when these guys are, you know. So this is what's happening to the sound system culture. It's not dead. It's become stagnant amongst the West Indians, but the white people and the blue people and the green people are seeing the value in it. So they're taking it because we're refusing to use it, and they're putting it in their own shape and form, and they're selling it.
Wow.
You know, big up to, you know, Major Lazer. Those guys are huge, right? And Walshy Fire. But those guys are sound boys. You know, and I don't think that many people make the connection. You know, the sound system culture has played a role in the careers of so many legendary artists, and still playing a role in the careers of artists today. You know, Mighty Crown, they're sound boys. They have now started their whole empire and, you know, record label and stadium shows and all of this, but they're sound boys. You know, DJ Khaled, he's a sound boy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that other people grasp the value of the sound system culture a lot more than we are supposed to be grasping it. And because we're distracted doing other things and keeping up with maybe the latest Vibes Cartel song or the latest thing going over there, yes, it will be perceived by us that the sound system culture and the clash culture is dying, but it's very much alive.
Wow. Speaking of Mighty Crown, now what did you see, or what was your vision in those guys? What made you gravitated towards them so many years ago?
I came across Mighty Crown in 1998. At the time, I was just looking for a Japanese. I was looking for something that would give me an edge as a promoter. At the time, I've worked with the Bass Odysseys, the Jaros, the David Radigans, you know, the Bodyguards, everyone. And I just wanted to present something new to the growing audience that I was gathering for the Irish and Chin brand. And I was told by a cassette virgin of mine by the name of Redface that there was a Japanese sound that played reggae music and spoke Patois. I couldn't believe it. I personally never witnessed that before. So I asked him to, you know, bring these guys to me or bring me to them. Long story short, I got a chance to meet Mighty Crown. I was impressed by, you know, what they were doing. I put them in a few, low, what would you say, a few preliminary clashes then, and they fared out very, very well, and I decided that we were going to keep a clash in 1999 with Bass Odyssey, Kilimanjaro, and Tony Mataran, and we just said, you know what, let's put Mighty Crown in as a wild card. At that time, there was no possibility in our minds that they may win.
Wow.
We just thought that they would give good entertainment, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And people would be, surprised to see this. But we put them on the platform. They won. Shortly after that, I started to manage them. And mixing our culture with their culture, I think that we both learned so much. I've learned so much from Mighty Crown, and Mighty Crown has opened so many doors for Irish and Chin. And I've been, they've been able to also learn a lot from me and open a lot of doors. Vice versa. We opened a lot of doors for each other.
Gotcha.
One thing that I've learned from Mighty Crown is business. I learned that you strike the iron when the iron is hot.
Gotcha.
And I went to Japan on my first trip, and I realized that these guys had offices, and these guys had, branding, and all kind of stuff that we here in the States don't even pay attention to. Merchandising.
Right.
And it showed me that what we're doing as West Indians is so valuable to everyone else, but we can't seem to see the value. So of course I came back and I started to set up shop and started to turn the whole Irish and Chin empire into an actual empire as opposed to running it out of my back pocket.
Got you. Wow.
And I have to say that I've learned that from visiting another culture and seeing how they deal with the things that they are serious about. So I applaud Mighty Crown. Today, they're like a super group. They are sound men, but they're just so much more than sound men. They have a record label. They have an anniversary show that gets about 40,000 people in a stadium. They tour, so all year round. They have a clothing line, and the list goes on for these guys. And my thing that I would like to let every sound boy know is that we all are getting older, and any chance that we can have to turn our hobby into a business, we need to take advantage of it, because other people are taking it for a business. And then we sit back and we say, the white man are robbed, the blue man are robbed, and the green man is robbing us. But we have to understand that we're robbing ourselves by not being ambitious and innovative and building on what we have.
Wow. Powerful. Once again, folks, we're talking live with Chin from Iris and Chin Sound Chat Radio. Now, a few months ago, I called you and I said, Chin, I'm starting something here in Atlanta. It's called Set It Off. And I want it to be where traditionally here in Atlanta, the folks have clashes, but it's basically for bragging rights. And everybody always say, well, I can't get to go to New York to the big stage. So I wanted them to have a reason to clash. And I must say, since then, we've had, I think, 3 or 4 clashes then. It's called the Road to U.S. Rumble. Talk about what it takes to get to U.S. Rumble and then get to World Clash.
Let me say this before I say that. As much as we are respected for the promotional team that's at the forefront of the sound system culture, I must admit that we have made mistakes.
Okay.
And, and everyone makes mistakes. Making mistakes with the right intention, to me, is a lot better than making mistakes with the wrong intention.
Gotcha.
Now, when we decided to do the World Clash and create this whole World Clash phenomenon, at the time it worked, and it worked really well. And it turned the selectors into superstars. So, in Jamaica, when we were doing World Clash Jamaica Debt Before Dishonor, we were pulling almost 8,000 people for sound systems,
Wow.
No artists involved, which is phenomenal. At the peak of the world-class culture here in New York, we were pulling 3,000, 3,200, 3,300 people to watch sound systems perform.
Right. Wow.
At that time, we were not looking at the long-term effect. We were looking at the immediate effect, as often many of us do, right? Now we fast forward into where we are today. And one of the mistakes that I think that we have made in the culture of sound systems is that for years we have only had one award. And that one award, that one official award, is the world-class trophy.
Gotcha.
Now, there is, let's just say hypothetically, 50,000 sound boys across the world.
Right.
Who get up every day and play music and hope to be acknowledged for their contributions.
Right.
However, there's only one trophy. Only 7 people get picked out of the 50,000 to compete for the one trophy.
Right.
Only one person out of the 7 can walk away with the one trophy. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that I feel that the fact that there has only been one trophy throughout the years has slowed down the process of growth in the arena. Now, if you are a young youth coming into the culture, getting on the world-class stage is a long shot for you.
Yes.
It's a long shot. It's, it's almost impossible. It's like winning the lotto. It's a very long shot.
Yes.
So what I've decided to do is to create a series called Rumble. And of course, this was first done in about 2001, 2002. We did 2 of them, the U.S. Rumble.
Yeah, that's back when I was in it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and we took all of the sound systems from the U.S., different parts of the U.S., and we allowed them to clash and earn their right to go to World Clash. Right? And we decided that we wanted to do it again. We did it in New York the other day, in the Amazura, which is the venue for World Clash, because my philosophy was, if these persons are going to replace Ricky Trooper and Tony Mataran and Fire Links and Squingy and all the greats, then they have to be given the same platform so we can judge them off of the same measuring stick that we judge the great people off of. So instead of going to a little hole-in-the-wall venue and downsizing, their performance, let's put them on the world-class stage. And so when the crowd says that person is the winner, the crowd will then also be able to be convinced that person can handle himself come the day that champion has to now go on the world-class stage. So I wanted to keep the same level, right?
Gotcha.
We got a lot of patronage. Good amount of people turned up. When I say a good amount, I'm really downplaying it. A lot of people turned up to see young sound systems in the U.S. clash. It was a milestone for today's industry, because what it proved is that the sound system culture and the fans of the sound system culture are ready for new champions. They're ready to replace the greats now. If it flopped, the message that it would have sent is the sound system fans are not ready. They're still stuck with Mighty Crown and Stone Love and Bodyguard and all of the famous names.
Gotcha.
So it gave us hope to see so much people turned out. I say that to say that when I saw this, I realized that we struck gold. We struck something that can be bigger than how we first intended it to be. So what we are now creating is what is called a Rumble series. And I want you to listen to this very carefully. The Rumble series will take place in different regions across the world. Canada, the UK, there'll be a Caribbean Rumble, there'll be a Japanese Rumble, and there'll also be a Euro Rumble. Even though the UK is part of Europe, our culture tends to separate Europe and England, right? So we have to follow that format. Now, each one of these regions will then produce a champion, and that person will be a champion of that region. So let's say in a year we're able to keep 8 rumbles.
Mm-hmm.
That's 8 trophies that has now been given out. So we're moving now from one person being awarded as the ultimate man or woman to 8 people being able to have a bragging rights on social media and wherever they're from, that they are the champion of their territory.
Right. Wow.
Once we get those 8 persons, we will now not give them a passage to world class. We will give them a passage to what we're going to call either the International Rumble or the World Rumble. And those 8 champions will compete for that title. And that title will give them the passage to go to world class.
Wow. Okay.
So we want to keep world class the exclusive event that it has always been.
Gotcha.
Right? So the sound systems who have already became brands, the Metro Media, the Stone Love, the Renaissance, the Mighty Crown, the Bodyguards, the Bass Odysseys, the Kilimanjaros, the Ricky Troopers, they will always get a guaranteed passage to world class because they're branded iconic sound teams.
Gotcha.
The youngsters who are coming up have to fight their way through. So I've just showed you how I intend to take one sound system trophy that everyone has been fighting for and now turn it into 9 more trophies.
Wow.
Right? Now here's where it becomes, and it ties back into what you're doing.
Yes.
In order for us to select the sound systems in these regional rumbles, the sound systems have to be making noise in those respective areas.
Absolutely.
So what you're doing is a great and phenomenal thing because it makes sure that we pick the right sound to represent Atlanta. There's no guessing. You have your own preliminary tournament. That tournament goes on for months and weeks, and at the end of the day, that person who wins is certified to represent the territory of Atlanta.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In the Rumble. But it starts with you, but it ends at World Clash.
Yes.
Let's see how far this Atlanta champion can go. But it's not only about winning World Clash. It's about picking up fans and accolades as you move on. So you win the trophy in Atlanta, and that Atlanta trophy will bring you to the U.S. Rumble, whether it's kept in New York, Florida, or wherever it's kept, because we do plan to move the Rumble from state to state as well, right? So wherever the Rumble is being held, your representative that won your Rumble, your road to Rumble, will present himself and represent his state.
Right.
But if he wins, then he'll go on to now represent the U.S.
Yes.
And if he wins the U.S., if he wins representing the U.S., then he's in the International Rumble.
Wow.
And then if he wins the International Rumble, he now gets a chance to go on the stage with the iconic sound teams of the culture.
Wow. So it's actually bigger than I thought it would be. Wow.
Ultimately, what it means is this. We started the conversation saying that we need younger people to come in, and we need the older people who have turned their minds against clashing to also come back and realize that sound clashing is the core of the music culture. Right?
Right.
If I'm a sound boy and I'm just coming out of college, what would encourage me more to continue being a sound boy if the accolades for being a sound boy is unreachable? Now we're making it reachable.
Gotcha.
We're making who's ever coming in as a young sound man, we're saying to them, here's a chance for you to go to the road. If you're from Atlanta and you're a young sound, you may not have to have so much dubs because, again, our thing is no more about dub plates. It's a mixture of, and I need to put that in there. As times change, we have to change the culture. So in the U.S. Rumble Series, or the Rumble Series I should call it, and in the World Class Series, it's play your 45s and your dub plates together. We are interested in vibes and the audience jumping up and down all night. We're not interested in who can play Bob, Andy, and Marcia Griffiths or Peter Touch and Bob Marley on dub. We don't care.
Let me stop you right there because I've gotten some fight back from the so-called original soundmen here in Atlanta that says that 45 should not be included in a clash.
I understand this. And I understand that the original sound boys will do that, will say that. And you know why the original sound boys are saying that? Because they're sitting on a couple of tenor saws, a couple of Garnet Silks, a couple of Dennis Browns.
Right.
So for them to feel like they have spent all their time and their connections and their money to collect these dubs, and now you guys are saying 45s could be played,
right,
they feel cheated.
Good.
But they have to also understand that, are we being selfish with the industry, and are we going to not change the rules of the game just to preserve the veteran sound systems? So should the industry stop at the veteran sound systems, or should it go on for 10 and 15 more years? In order for it to go on for 10 or 15 more years, the new sounds are not going to be able to voice Garnet Silk. They're not going to be able to voice
Dennis
D. Brown,
right,
or Gregory Isaac,
right,
or Tenor Saw. So what are we saying? Are we saying that the culture must stop? Or are we saying that in order to get the new blood to come into the culture, we have to make the necessary changes? Now, mind you, the soundmen who are saying this, that 45 should not be played in clash, they need to also understand that 45s were played in clashes eras ago. And this is the reason why the terminology that is so synonymous with sound clashing, which is said 45 shop lock, is because 45s were being played in sound clashes. Gotcha. There would be no reason to say 45 shop lock if there wasn't no 45s being played.
You're right. Absolutely.
45s were pushed out of the sound clashing era. 45s were pushed out of the sound clash era in the 90s. And the reason why 45s were pushed out of the sound clash era, it's because of bragging rights. The soundman them, it was a money era because most of the soundman them did have them own little thing a go on, and they had money to finance the greatest of the greatest dub plates and the most expensive dub plates. So therefore, it was anything where you can play upon 45, me can play upon dub plate. It was a way of belittling your opponent. To say, yo, boy, your pocket broke, go spend some money. A big sound you play.
Right. Wow.
So eventually, it became a competition where you became embarrassed or you let the crowd down when you were playing 45s because everybody else is playing dub plates.
Right, right.
And that's how the 45s got squeezed out of the clash arena. Now, at the time, it was an exciting thing to witness. It was a great thing to witness. Also, we have to remember, at the time, if some of these veteran sound systems wish to speak the truth, at the time that they're talking about, only certain dub plates could be played in tune for tune. Tune for tune was an exclusive dub plate only competition. Tune for tune wasn't about regular dubs. You wasn't able to play a Barry's Hammond, What Can You Do to Stop Your Sound from Dying, because it was commercial.
Wow.
So when you listen back to Addies and Jaro and Saxon and all of the forerunners of the culture, them man used to play exclusive tune and not tune for tune. That's how you separated the boys from the men.
True.
This is why Silverhawk went and got Billy Ocean on dub and went and got Jimmy Cliff on dub, because it was about exclusivity in those days. Times change. Now we're at an era, or we're finishing an era where, guess what? Anything pretty much can be played in tune for tune as far as commercial dubs go.
Right.
I am predicting that we will enter an era pretty soon, and in that era that we will enter, Buju Banton and Beanie Man and Vibes Cartel will be played in tune for tune.
Really?
This is what I'm predicting. Okay. And the reason why I'm predicting it is because the younger generation of people who are going to take the culture over after us They don't have any connection with Garnet Silk and Dennis Brown. It's not in their musical catalog. So they're going to compete with who they know to compete with. You following what I'm saying?
I'm following.
And we have to welcome this. We can't... Listen, I've dedicated 20 years of my life to the sound system culture because I love it. As a promoter, as a sound man, as an enthusiast. And if God spare my life and live for 20 more years, I want to be able to go to a sound clash. I want to be able to sit in the stands or sit in the audience and say, I had something to do with this. I don't want it to stop because me get too old to do it.
Gotcha.
Some of the people who are in this culture, they're selfish. Because they've collected these valuable dubs, they want the culture to stop where they stopped. Let's look at this, and I know that I'm saying a lot, but this is a very important conversation. If we rewind, there was a time when Kilimanjaro and Black Scorpio and all of these famous clash sounds in Jamaica used to clash with live artists on their sound systems.
Yes.
That was a clash. It wasn't anything about having dubs. You didn't have to have your DJ them and your singer them in order to throw down a sound.
Right.
Or lock off a sound. What would have happened if we weren't receptive to the Stone Love and the next era that came in the inner city and these sound systems? The sound clash culture would have died.
True.
Because people would have said, yo, from me can't say Ninja Man and Brabant and Papa San and a true sound clash, me now got that. But we ushered in another era of sound clashing where Ninja Man now became a superstar, Super Cat became a superstar, Lieutenant Stitchy became a superstar, so they were not able to travel on these sound systems to go to sound clashes anymore. So they left behind dub plate recordings to still be able to defend their respective sound.
Right.
And this is what triggered the dub plate era until dubs moved from specials into becoming, commercial dub plates where everybody can play the same dub plates.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, what would happen if Kilimanjaro and those sounds said, no, this can't happen? As some of the sounds that you're saying in Atlanta are saying, no, this can't happen. How would the new era have come in?
You're right. You're right.
So we all have to respect the fact that the industry is bigger than us. The industry is bigger than our dub boxes and our ego, and the industry has to go on. If we don't allow it to go on, the white, blue, purple, and green man is going to make it go on in their own format. Gotcha. And we're all going to sit back and say, yo, them boy, they are thief, Look what the boy them are do. I think that. I don't want to be part of that. So I realize the need for young sound boys, as we call them, young sound boys or young sound teams to come into the culture. We also have to acknowledge a very important factor. Mm-hmm. In the 90s and before, it was the coolest thing to be Jamaican. Right. Even people who were from other islands used to hide the fact that they were from other islands and just act like they were Jamaicans. True. Right?
Yep.
Now, everyone is proud of where they come from.
Yep.
So a Guyanese man where I play a sound, I gotta tell you, say, yo, I come from GT. A Trini man, I gotta tell you, say, is a Trini selector. It has changed. Now let's take it a little bit further. Today, a lot of the kids who are listening to the music are not born in the West Indies. They are from West Indian descent.
Right. Wow.
So they are West Indian American. Mm-hmm. And they are 75% American and 25% Jamaican or Guyanese or wherever they come from, their family comes from. Right. These kids are influenced by other genres of music other than dancehall and reggae.
True.
So if their influence is different, when they come into the dance hall to be selectors, they're going to have a different approach because their influence is different.
Yep, you're right.
So if we don't allow them to be who they are, then they're just going to stay away. How many of us have kids that are not interested in what we do? I have a son who doesn't care anything about Sound Clash, even though his father dedicated 20 years to the Sound Clash culture. He doesn't care because he's listening to Jay-Z. That's what he's doing.
Gotcha.
He don't care about Bounty Killer and Beanie Man. He knows about Vybz Kartel, but he only listens to Vybz Kartel because his parents is Jamaican.
Wow.
So this is what we have to understand. The evolution of this thing is changing. The people who are going to be coming to the forefront of the culture are not as connected to Jamaica as they used to be 15, 20 years ago. The body sound 10 years from now may be played by a guy from Trinidad. Who knows?
True.
Maybe a man from Haiti might have the body sound and he might be the body selector. His influence is going to be different. He might want to drop 2 Creole dub in a dance.
True.
We're going to tell him he can't do it?
You're right. You got a point. Wow.
So I'm just, spending this time to speak to you because I'm very passionate about the culture, right? And I'm not going to put on dark glasses and act like I can't see the sun. I see what's going on in front of my eyes. The reason why I have been able to stay at the forefront of the culture is because I've been gifted to always be able to foresee the changes before the changes happen. And I see where if Billboard is calling my phone to do a report on Sound Clash culture or a piece on Sound Clash culture, that means to me that there is some people talking about Sound Clash.
Absolutely.
Because Billboard magazine doesn't care about things that nobody cares about.
True. Yep.
So I'm like, okay. Well, if Bob Marley's son is Bob Marley's son, and the Marley brand is probably one of the biggest brands that we have in our culture, and he and his team sees the need to also introduce sound system culture on his already sold out cruise, what does that tell you?
It's growing. And people are paying attention. Yeah.
But maybe to this new audience, we can't present your mother this, your father that, your gal this. We can't do it anymore.
Right.
It has done its time.
Yep.
So now the thing has to be, for the most part, cleaned up, repackaged, and represented in order for us, the people, when I say us, I mean all of us. Some of us has dedicated 20 years. Some of us has dedicated 5 years. Some of us has dedicated 2 years. But the fact of the matter, if you have contributed even a year, it's a year out of your time, which should be worth money to you in some shape or another. So if the opportunity comes that you can make money out of it, why not do so? But we cannot make money out of the industry gay bashing. Your mother this, your mother that. So it depends on where we want to go with the culture. Do we want to keep the culture underground until it dies in 3 years? Or do we want the culture to reach its ultimate place?
Got you.
Mind you, as history books are telling you, and the documentaries are telling you, hip-hop came from Trenchtown in Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And look where it is now. Right? Also, as the history books and documentations is also telling you now, EDM came from Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the chances with these things being discovered and documented? It is safe to gamble and say that maybe 5 years from now, sound system culture will be repackaged by someone else and also become a major factor in entertainment, and Jamaicans and West Indians will get no credit for it.
Very possible.
As hip hop and EDM.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, people, like, and again, I know that it's been very worthy, but I am passionate what I'm saying. If I can go to Japan and I can see Mighty Crown set up a structure based on being a sound man and open up a record label and ram stadiums. Yes, I understand many people are going to say it's different. It's a different market, right? But that's no excuse for us not trying. You know what I mean? Them say aim for the stars and then you might land in the sky.
Right.
But you understand? So my thing is like, we need to put as much energy and effort into what we're doing as we can. So what you're doing again with this road to the U.S. Rumble, I commend you. I commend all the sounds who are participating in it, because it's not an easy task to be a sound man and to be a competing sound man. But at the end of the day, if you work hard enough, there is a reward there. And the reward is not always winning the trophy. The reward is getting on the stage that you need to get on to show everybody what kind of talent you have. Because there'll always be a promoter who's standing in the crowd will say, yo, that youth there, boy, him come in third place, but him bad.
Right. Absolutely.
I want book him for your dance.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So your ambitions as a sound man should always be to just get on the platform. You know, always want to win. This is my philosophy. Always want to win, but prepare yourself to lose. Always want to win, but prepare yourself to lose. And I say that to say this, right? If you're prepared to lose, the loss is not as harsh as when you're not prepared. So I would say Chin is going to clash with the Flavor Radio tomorrow. And we're going to go dub plate for dub plate or 45 for 45. I'm going to voice up my dubs and shine off my records because I want to win.
Right.
But I'm also going to make sure that my publicist and my team has everything in place, so if I lose, they can still push out, Chin is going to be in Africa tomorrow morning.
Right.
To kind of cover up the fact that I lost.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
By showing them what else is going on for me in my career. So I'm prepared to lose your clash because my team is prepared to cover that up and show, yeah man, him lose that, but him Ghana Africa tomorrow, and then the next week he'll be in England. That's what it's about. You know, it's about business, you know, and that's what it's about. It's no longer about bragging to say, me have the most dub plate, me have the most Ghana silk. Who cares? No one cares. You know, so...
Oh man! Once again, folks, we're talking live with Chin, and I hear the passion in your voice, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, man, because I hear the passion, I know the passion, and I wanted the sound man here in Atlanta to hear it from you and hear how you look at it. Because again, you know, you have a lot of critics who say, "Oh, this shouldn't be this way, this shouldn't be that way." I wanted it because, as far as they're concerned, World Clash is the ultimate. Iverson Chin is the ultimate. So I wanted them to hear it from you yourself.
We have to just look at the future. And don't get me wrong, the people who are against some of the stuff that I may be saying, I get it. I understand. Because I was once sitting in their seat. But I had to get up one day and say, but am I being selfish?
Right.
Am I being selfish to the culture that I claim to love so much? Do I want the culture to stop with me? Or do I want it to go on for years after me?
Gotcha.
You know, and I just think that a lot of these sound systems are still in their selfish stage. They won't admit it, but they're still in the stage because they're trying to hold on to tradition. And it's good to love tradition. It's good when you're in a dance, you know, you're going to drop your one Dennis Brown, you're going to drop your half pint and, you know, these songs, these Bob Marley songs and so forth, because it's the foundation. But remember, in the dance, we still play a new tune too.
Yep.
So I'm saying, while we're trying to hold on to the foundation of the sound system culture, remember, so we also have to add in some new things as well. Are we going to lose the people? I'm seeing clashes that's supposed to, once upon a time, would have gotten 1,000 people. Now they're getting 300 people, 250 people. I'm walking into clashes that when I walk in, I know everybody in the clash. That's not a clash to me. That's a social gathering.
Right. Wow.
It's a party.
Right.
Who goes to an event and know everybody in the event? So what I'm trying to say is that this thing has now become like a secret society. When you go to a clash and you sip a Guinness and you burn a spliff and you know everybody in the dance. That's not what's supposed to be happening. You're supposed to fight your way to go in a dance because the dance ram and you reach there late.
Right. Wow.
And you spend 3 hours outside to try to find a parking. That's what we need to get it back to. And in order to get it back to that, we need the youth. We need some 19-year-old, and this is the last thing that I will say. Remember, people, when Buju Banton came into the music industry, he was 19 years old. Beanie Man them come in at similar ages as well. I think Beanie Man came in before.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to point out to you is that, do you realize a decade or so ago, all of our artists were able to break through at a young age?
Mm-hmm.
Tony Mataran and Ricky Troop and Fire Links, these guys have been playing music for 20 years. So think about what age they were when they came into the culture and made a difference. They were young, and that's the reason why they were able to make a difference, because their age and their experiences gave them a different flavor. If without calling out people's age, the majority of the people that I just mentioned, they're in their 40s. They're either between 40 and 41 years old. So if they've been in the industry for 20 years, they came in at 19 and 20 years old.
Yes.
Why are we not seeing 19 and 20-year-old people coming in the culture now to play sound? So that's just something for the item to think about. But Jano, brother, I hope say, some of the people who are listening to you kind of get an understanding and an insight on, my visions. And again, my opinions and my approaches is not to hurt the culture. This is the way I feel it's best to better the culture. And again, it's my opinion. It's not foolproof, but instead of talking, I'm going to put, action to speech.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to try to create this Rumble series, and we're going to try to make a difference, and we're going to hope for the best. But in addition to hoping for the best, we're going to get down and dirty and do everything in our power to make it work. So if it does not work, we can walk away saying that we gave it everything that we got.
Gotcha. Chin, as always, man, it's been very insightful. I thank you for coming on today, man, because like I said, a lot of the folks in Atlanta, we've done about four clashes already, and I just wanted them to hear from you because, again, that's the ultimate goal, is to get to US Rumble, and I wanted them to hear from you.
Yeah, it's the ultimate.
Yes.
US Rumble is the starting. It's the starting. That's when the gun sounds right there. That's where the race begins,
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to just make it to the finish line, which would be World Clash. Well, ultimately, the finish line would be winning the World Clash trophy.
Wow.
Wow. But again, big up to everybody who's listening across the world, because I know your platform is a world-renowned platform. Big up to those of you, the contenders who are in the tournament. Some of you won already, some of you've lost already, and those of you who lost, prepare yourself to lose. So when I say prepare yourself to lose, I mean this tournament will happen again next year.
Yes.
So think about what you did wrong. Work on it so next year you can also be a contender again, and hopefully, place differently and show some growth. Those of you who are winners so far, there is still a long way to go because the tournament is still going on, and hopefully we'll see the best man, representing Atlanta at the Rumble, the next upcoming US Rumble.
Yep. Well, you know what? I know you got the Canada Rumble coming up, so good luck with all those. Good luck with the whole entire series and direction in which you're going. I love it. I support it 100% right here on the Flavor Radio, man.
Give thanks, my brother. Thanks for having me. I know I took up a lot of your time.
It's all good. I love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Give thanks.
All right. Bless.